Hello. Just wanted to provide a brief explanation video in relation to the first video, which if you haven't seen yet, go watch that one first. It's just a quick iPhone video showcasing several scripts and voice interactive scripts that I've been setting up and starting to use on my brand new server here. I've just had it about 4 or 5 weeks, so haven't had a lot of time to work with this stuff, but starting to get it rolling here. The first thing you noticed was I ran just a quick weather check, which is pretty basic. You've probably seen a lot of versions of it around. But in this one, I showed a little bit of context in being able to ask, first of all, how's the weather, but then how about tomorrow? And so it knew that I was referring back to weather still, and so it gave a little bit of contextual evidence there. And that's something that's going to be a theme going forward for me. And really, the end goal here is going to be end up making as much as possible predominantly voice interactive interface, and you'll see what I mean by that with more videos coming in the future here. Then I moved on to just running a quick diagnostic, and just to explain what that involves, that does several little things in the background. For example, a lot of those processes you can get from Activity Monitor and basic system runs that it can do itself. Also with apps like Onyx, which do basic security checks, execute maintenance scripts, repair permissions if I wanted it to do a deeper diagnostic and maybe check disk, that kind of thing. The one that I had it run initially is just a quick check. Like I said, it did a few security checks, executed a couple of maintenance scripts, things that ran really quickly. As you saw, it just took a couple of seconds for the basic version. Asked me if I wanted it to do a deep dive, which then would have meant I could have, if I'd said yes, it would have done what I had set up previously, which is things like I said, repair permissions, check disk, a little bit of network maintenance as well, and network diagnostics. And then from diagnostics, we also had the IP address as well. I think I had those flipped around in the video. And that isn't a very impressive piece of information, but the reason I point it out is that what I plan to do with it is integrate that into the network a little bit more, so that contextually, depending on whether or not my phone, and therefore myself, is home or away, it will be able to recognize, or rather show unrecognized, previously unrecognized devices. And if I'm home, it'll say, hey, what do you want to do about this unrecognized device on the network? But if I'm away, it can sort of automate a kind of a man in the middle attack that'll kind of intercept that traffic and not allow it to really do much on the network until I give it explicit approval. From there, I showed a quick light function where I just turned on the entryway light you would have seen. That was just one basic command, of course, but the point of showing that is that I actually run scenes with it as well. So I'll say something like, I'm going to bed, and it'll lock the door, turn off the downstairs lights, turn on an upstairs light, and then maybe adjust the thermostat or something like that as well. So running scenes with it is a little bit more powerful than just turning off a single device or switch or something like that. And then from there, I showed a couple of basic system commands, something like mute, resume volume, change volume to whatever percentage I tell it to. I think in that example I said, I think it was 20 and 75%, just as two examples. What I want to do with that is integrate that a little bit more into more of the system preferences as well. Not just preferences, but also start deep diving into what you can do in the system files a little bit too. And I don't just mean operating system files, but like customized templates I have set up. So like saying, hey, open a new project, and it opens up this specified project template that I've set up beforehand. Things you can also do with apps like Post Haste. So it's going to start doing more system processes like that as well, rather than just basic information retrieval like the weather stuff. And again, just to emphasize, the end goal here is not only to have kind of a voice interactive interface. I tend to do a lot of work with those with physical limitations, and so that's kind of where this is heading. But also I'm starting to do a lot of script integration. So my scripts are going to be including callbacks to other scripts, so it'll get more complicated there as well. You'll see that in more videos to come. I'll just give a real brief explanation of the interface. Part of the reason I did a screencast for this video, so you can see my interface here. It has basic information, as you've probably already seen, like CPU usage, disk usage over here, memory usage or RAM usage down here, you know, in and out speed over here, and then a few icons along the bottom there that are kind of specified. They're just basic folder icons like you would expect that'll launch either certain, you know, documents folders or apps or communications or labs that I'm working on or something like that. But the reason I pointed out is that this is just a partial to what's going to be a series of interfaces. This is going to be part of what's a kind of work-themed interface, and it'll be set up contextually. So you'll see, for example, I have work coming up on the calendar, and what that means for me is I'll have another video that's actually going to set up this alarm script, which is a fairly involved alarm script and talks back and forth with me a little bit. But that is something where that'll trigger in the morning. I'll kind of have this morning screen that'll have, you know, calendar like this, you know, messages down here, and then I'm going to have a little stocks graphic over here that's kind of a live feed because there's some stocks I like to view, and then a news feed down here, and then toward the top I may even have sort of an inline news video feed as well. And so that'll be sort of a kind of a morning interface, or a home interface you could call it, and then automatically, based on whether I'm at work or a certain time of day or something, it'll change to what's going to be a work-based interface, which is some of this system information you see here, but it'll also include like a run out of current processes as well as devices on the network, which kind of speaks back to what I was talking about earlier about devices on the network. So there's going to be a series of interfaces. They're all going to be automated, and you'll start to see that coming up more, and it'll change, you know, which icons or live tiles are down on the bottom there as well. So look for more videos for that to come, and other than that, I will sign off and see you next time.